By Horace. A brief note by Kansang Xiam. What is satire? Ans. The use of humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices, especially in the context of contemporary politics and other topical issues. Mock, ridicule, caricature, derision, scorn, sarcasm, irony. Quintus Horatius Flaccus, Horace, the 8th of December 65 to 27 November 8 BC, was the leading Roman lyric poet during the time of Augustus. He was born in Venusia, Italy. He wrote in Latin language under the Roman Republic, Kingdom, Republic and Empire. The Satire 1:4 is a part of collection of satirical poems titled Satires, composed by the Roman poet Horace. It is written in dactylic hexameter. It is frequently used in ancient Greek and Latin poetry. Through this satirical poetry, the poet has endeavored to explore the secrets of human happiness and literary perfection. It was first probably published in 35 BC. In Book 1:4, Horace has poked fun at satirical poets past as well as present, including himself. Furthermore, he explained the reasons behind people's distastes for satire, and that is it ridicules their vices. But Horace reminded the readers that anyone with a clean conscience need not fear him at all. In addition, Horace has claimed that satire only puts people on guard against dangerous men and teaches them how not to behave. But he still is hopeful that his readers will understand the importance and requirement of satire. Broadly speaking, Satire 1:4 deals with a defense of satire. Lines 1 to 25 inches depict the importance and necessity of quality instead of quantity in satire. Lines 26 to 62 argue about the debate of, is a satirist truly a poet though? Lines 63 to 85 inches opine about not considering satire as a pure literary form, maybe not, but why treat satire with suspicion? Lines 86 to 106 inches titled as, after all, I'm not the malicious one. Lines 107 to 143 inches expound about Horace's father's role in molding his perspectives about morality, which he applied in satire. The poem began by praising the poets and dramatists of Greek and Latin literature, and their contribution to the Roman satire, particularly from Aristophanes' plays. Then the poet appreciated his predecessor Lucilius for developing the Roman satire by highlighting his literary flaws. According to Horace, Lucilius was talented but clumsy, as well as he wrote without any planning. Consequently, he made errors that he wanted to revise later. In addition, he was also very verbose and lazy to amend it. Therefore, Horace downrightly differentiated himself from Lucilius as a satirist. Even if anyone wanted to challenge Horace, he turned it down on the basis of inferiority, including a fictional poet Crispinus. Then, Horace argued that he did not believe in writing countless verses for the sake of winning feudal competitions. According to Horace, he has significant moral superiority both as a human being and satirist. He considers his personality as that of a modest and timid man who does not exhibit his writings and talent, and that is his greatest virtue. Besides, he also opined that his writings were never meant for the common masses. Moreover, Horace also preferred to be selective in his audience or listeners, as he felt uncomfortable exposing himself to general critics. In other words, the speaker of the poem considered his writings were too honest to be read and circulated among the public. He was aware that he could be too critical of others' follies and vices. Broadly speaking, the speaker of the poem compared poets in an imaginary attack to dangerous animals who were real threat to others. Beware, he's vicious, so he gains his end. A selfish laugh, he will not spare a friend. What he scrawls, the main malignant rogue, is all alive to get into vogue. Give him a handle, and your tale is known to every giggling boy and maundering crone. Then, the poet defended the accusations of critics that satirical poets had destroyed the reputation of people in the following way. First, be it understood, I make no claim to rank with those who bear a poet's name. 'Tis not enough to turn out lines complete, each with its proper quantum of 5 feet. Colloquial verse a man may write like me, but trust an author, it's not poetry. Subsequently, Horace remarks that poetry is much more than putting mere words. So then, it's not sufficient to combine well-chosen words in a well-ordered line. When, take away the rhythm, the self-same words would suit an angry father off the boards. Afterwards, the poet elucidated his father's role in the upbringing of a son and his father's influence in his life both as a human being and satirist. But the angry father shakes the stage. When on his graceless son he pours his rage. Who, smitten with the mistress of the hour, rejects a well-born wife with ample dower, gets drunk, and, worst of all, in public sight, keels with a blazing flambeau while 'tis light. Besides, the speaker did not wish to further argue on the conflict between prose and poetry as that was not the central theme of the poem. Enough of this, some other time we'll see if satire is or is not poetry. Today I take the question, if 'tis just that men like you should view it with distrust. On the other hand, the speaker remarks that there is a difference between satirical poets and professional court informers like Caprius and Sulcius, who also reveal criminals and the corrupt in public. Therefore, the speaker remains a committed satirical poet who rejects popularity. No books of mine on stall or counter stand to tempt Tigelius or some clammier hand. Nor read I save to friends, and that when pressed, not to chance auditor or casual guest. Nevertheless, the speaker also points out the general accusations laid against the satirist in Roman society. Who broached that slander? Of the men I know, with whom I live, have any told you so? He who maligns an absent friend's fair fame, who says no word for him when others blame, who courts a reckless laugh by random hits, just for the sake of ranking among wits, who feigns what he ne'er saw, a secret blabs. Beware him, Roman, that man steals or stabs. However, the poet limns that the reputation of satirist is someone who exposes the follies of everyone, including their close friends. Oft you may see 3 couches, 4 on each, where all are wincing under one man's speech. All, save the host, his turn too comes at last, when wine lets loose the humor shame held fast. And you, who hate malignity, can see not here but pleasant talk, well-bred and free. Aftermath, the poet argues that his reputation as a good satirist is closely tied to his good upbringing by his father. Thus, the speaker has credited his father for setting a good example of living with. As a matter of fact, the speaker's father's teachings are similar to philosophical teachings of Epicurean philosophy. His father would teach him, the young poet, by example of others who lived with bad reputation. The poet's father's importance of good education can be felt in the following lines of the satire. Why you should follow this, from that refrain. For me, if I can train you in the ways trod by the worthy folks of earlier days. And, while you need direction, keep your name and life unspotted, I've attained my aim.